And here we are, another Sunday night live from the Podding Shed. How are we all doing? It is Sunday, the 5th of September 2021. Can't quite believe we are in September. Now, coming up today, we're going to be talking about seed saving, and I've been lucky enough to have a couple of videos, sent in on this very subject. But as always, I'll go through what I've been up to over this last week in just a second. But first, oh God, I'm drinking orange squash and it's gone right through me today. Excuse me. Let's see if anybody's actually out there. First of all, Ballycillian allotment with evening. Oh, good evening to you. Adrian has joined and saying hello to Ballycillian as well. Has said hello to me. Hello to you too, Adrian. Alison O'Brien, evening Richard, looking forward to a great show tonight. Let's hope I pull it out the bag as always. Next we have Adrian as well. Ballycillian again, looking forward to the show. Never saved seeds before. Well, hopefully we're going to make you save seeds in the future. David Mosley, evening all, glad to see summer's back. It's been a hot one today, hasn't it? A very hot one. More on that in a little bit. What else have we got? Let's see. Turbo Stream, good evening, Veg Army. Good evening to you. Adrian, keep getting Adrian. Hello, gardeners from Anna. Hello to you. Hope you're well. Hargrave Gas, evening. Missed last week as I was away. So pleased to be back on board now. Hope you had a good time away. I was very jealous of hearing you on holiday. Rebecca has joined. Good evening to you. Hope you are well. Ian Beddoes is here, saying I'm here, and Beatrice is here. Oh, I just missed that one. No, Digwell is here. Hi everyone. 2 minutes where I pop my after sun on my shed. Fair enough. And good evening everyone too from there. Cornish Heaven has joined. Good evening, Richard. Thick mist in Cornwall. Blazing hot sunshine here. And Richard Golden has joined as well. We'll come back to that in just a little moment. Keep your comments coming. I'll keep an eye on them and I'll go through them. So yes, sun's out today. It's been a hot one. I've actually not managed to do any gardening. I was hoping to, but I did a walk earlier with a friend, filming for an upcoming walk, and lack of sleep last night. And the sun has made me very tired, to say the least. So yeah, I've not made any videos for tonight, and I've not managed to get ahead in any other stuff. So there's my excuse for why we've got no photos, but we do have videos from others, so it's not a complete loss. What else? Yesterday I spent the day on the allotment. It was a lot cooler yesterday. It was nice, but I actually had help from my brother-in-law and my two nieces. My nieces, I got them to plant up some pots of some spring flowering bulbs just to get them used up. We've got more spring flowering bulbs to go in pots at home. But after they'd done that, I was doing or clearing out some weeds, and I got my nieces to water the beds after I did. And in the meantime, my brother-in-law was going around with a strimmer and a lawnmower to trim back all the grass, which was a great help. And I used all that grass clippings underneath my sweet corn to mulch the beds in order to preserve some of the moisture in the soil. I know it's coming to the end of the season, but I do like my mulches. And I'm also hoping it's going to reduce the amount of weeding that I have to do. We're going to be talking about mulches next week, just to give you a bit of a heads up. What else did I do? Well, another thing I did during the week was, you may recall last week when I went to Gardener's World, I said I came back with a bag of Easy Mulch. I put that to use. Poured that on top of a container that I have a blueberry plant growing in. I've added these, they're like compressed straw. I added those on top, added water, they swirl up, and they created this mulch. That's actually coming out on a video later on this week. Now I've started getting my my video system worked out again. I've struggled with videos in recent years. The time it takes to shoot, edit, became a nightmare. So I'm liking at the moment just doing a little bit every time I'm in the garden. So let's quickly see what anybody else has joined. Let me know what you've been up to in your own allotments, your own vegetable gardens as well. You can leave a comment, or you can call in or zap in. I'll put the banner up with the number running across the bottom. But if you want to zap in, the link is in the comments right now. So Andrew Norris has joined. Hello, everyone. Good to be here. Lovely to see you. Turbo Stream. I've been mostly digging brambles from the rhubarb patch this week, plus some strimming on the paths on the plot. Is it me, or does the paths everywhere and the grass particularly seems to have grown like mad over the last week? It took my brother-in-law quite a while to get on top of it. Evening, Richard and Veg Army from Stuart Jackson. Good evening to you. Managed to get all the veg beds bar one weeded and most of the paths this week. Somebody's been very, very busy then down in Cornwall. Very busy getting on top of that. That was me. If you're watching in the Facebook group, you may not see this link, just the way Facebook group work. But if you are watching the Facebook group and you leave a comment, just please let me know who you are as well, because Facebook groups work a bit different. I've been sowing the September seeds from you, Richard. Fantastic. Yes, so what Rebecca's talking about, and Stuart has also posted some pictures. I have a supporters club, mainly for the podcast, but it's also developed into this. I charge £5 a month, and for that, each month I send out 6 packets of seeds at least. This week, I've sent out the September seeds have gone out, and we've had lettuce, mustard, broad beans, peas, Swiss chard, and coriander. All that can be sown this month and to grow either over the winter or into the autumn, winter months. It's worth doing. I always like to grow all year round where I can. Anna Jones has been treating all my pots with vine weevil nematodes. Oh, vine weevil is really a horrible, horrible weevil, which really does do a lot of damage. Hopefully your nematodes will do the job. I do hear a lot of good things about nematodes. So please do keep us posted, Anna, on how well they work out for you. Ballycillian was away for this weekend for a wedding anniversary. I hope it was a lovely wedding. Certainly today you've had the brilliant weather for a wedding. Turbo Stream. I've also spent a few hours in my garden cutting back and mulching around the shrubs. Fantastic. Just remember, we're going to be talking about mulches next week on my list, because I've had a few questions come in about mulches, and I think it's going to be great to get everyone's opinions. Broad bean in today and more peas in as well. Tried a chili today and it blew my head off. Oh, that reminds me. I had a question about a chili that wasn't very hot. I've got to get back to that one. Not much gardening to be had next week, as I'm off to Pembrokeshire on Wednesday. Oh, very, very, very nice. Everyone seems to be going away but me. I just seem to be working all the time at the moment. I've got to be up at 4:30 in the morning, so I'm not overly happy about that. So keep your comments coming in. Please do keep letting me know what you've been up to throughout your garden or an allotment over this last week. Now, seed saving is the subject that we're going to talk about this evening. I think this was one that was requested by one of you guys out there, and I thought, you know what, it's a good subject. In fact, usually there's a yearly event that I go to where I first met Cornish Heaven, or Cornish, is it Heaven or Haven, one of the two. Let's have a quick look and see if I can see it. Cornish Heaven. When I first met her, was a seed sharing event where people would save their seeds and then share them about and use them. And I thought, you know, that's great, but you've got to know how to save seeds in the first place for that to be effective. And there is a help at that event. There is help, and I interviewed a guy who really knew his stuff about how to save seeds, and that's on a previous podcast from a couple of years ago now. But what the basic sort of thing is you've got to look after your plants. Choose only the best, and then each or different plants have different methods of seed saving. Let's have a quick look at what people are saying as well. Muddy Boots is saying hello all. Hello to you. Hope you're well. It pays the bills, Richard. It certainly does pay the bills. Think it's time that you opened that nursery of yours. I would be certainly taking a drive down to visit. Yeah. It's just it's in the pipeline. It's in the pipeline. Is this nursery idea I have? I'll probably end up working harder knowing me though doing that. Everyone else is saying hello to Nigel. So what I've got here, let me bring to the overhead cameras to show you what I'm on about. So first of all, I've got a jam jar with a few pea seeds. Not many seeds at all, but these are what I have saved in the past. Added to that, I've also got some sweet pea seeds. Now, I've chosen these because peas and beans are probably some of the easiest seeds to save. And what you want to do with the peas is you leave them on the plant until they go really nice and hard and crispy. Same with beans. Leave them to go nice and hard and crispy. The good thing with that, you get them like that, they come apart. If you leave them any longer, they will actually come apart naturally and spread their seed naturally. But they come apart easy. The peas on the inside are then really nicely dried and wrinkly. And now you can use those as dried peas in the kitchen, and they will work quite fine if you can do that. But alternatively, store them either in jam jars or even paper envelopes, what I usually use as well. And there you go. You've got a few seeds for next year. So peas and beans are, if you are looking to get into it, is where I would advise you start because they are so easy to save the seeds from. Simply leave them on the plant till they go dry and then get the seeds from them. Now, at CD Sunday event that I was speaking about earlier, the advice was actually to have some bean plants or pea plants or any plants that you plan to save seeds from separate from the rest and grow them solely for the purpose of saving seeds. That's fine if you've got huge amounts of space. It's not always that easy to save seeds or to dedicate that much space to saving seeds. But that gives you an idea of what we are looking at. And you can do that with any beans, any peas, pretty much, if you so wish. So that's where I advise to start looking. That looks so peasy to do. Yes, it is so peasy to do. You're right. It is just a case of break these apart. I'm hoping you can hear it crack on the microphone. Break them apart, and there you go. You've got the seeds in there. As easy as that. I've dropped a few pea seeds, which no doubt the chickens will come in later and get the hold onto. What you got to remember is plants in the wild, they want their seeds to be spread. It's how they reproduce. It's what they want to do. And so you're not going to be doing any damage or anything unnatural by doing that. Can you save sweet corn seeds? Thanks. Yes, you can. Now, again, it's very similar to what you've got to do with peas and sweet corn. You've got to let them really go dry, really, past the point where you can no longer eat them, past the point where they're harvestable or edible. You let them go dry. Then you take all the seeds out, and there you go. You've got sweet corn seeds. I'm saving broad bean seeds. Some I've already planted up and are coming already in seed trays. Yeah, there you go. Just goes to show broad beans, I've done it with many times. I haven't got any examples in here. But broad beans are incredibly hardy with the seeds. I've saved some seeds, and while I've gone to plant them, I've noticed like almost like a little hole drilled into the seed where obviously some bug or something has got in there and eaten out something on the inside. But I've sown those broad beans and they have been absolutely fine. Just goes to show they are very versatile. I saved some seed from lupins too after I recorded my little video, which we have coming up in just a moment. I would like to be self-sufficient in seed saving. I forgot that I had saved seeds from last year's seed crop too. And that's an interesting point, because I like the idea of being self-sufficient in general and saving seeds and saving as many seeds as we can from our crops. It does lend ourselves to that. The main reason I don't save so many seeds, or as many seeds as I would like to, is because I've got so many. I've got a huge box full of seeds just waiting to be used up, and I want to use them up and then we'll move on. Hargrave gas. I've had good success saving pepper and chili seeds. Just got to make sure they aren't the F1 hybrids. Well, that's a good point to get on to another point I was going to make out. Now, peppers and chilies, you can harvest them and you can save the seeds straight out from when you're cooking. The germination rate on those are not brilliant when you do it that way on pepper and chilies. Really, you do need to leave them to really go very ripe on the plant before you save the seeds. But it can be done a bit earlier if you really want to, or if you want to get like your crops from it and then your seeds. Now, because you do get so many seeds within a single pepper or a single chili, it's not really a huge problem. You get, I don't know, in a pepper there's probably 100 seeds. You might get 5 of those germinate. But if you leave them to go a little more riper, that'll probably go up to about 75%. Just going to have a swig of, it's hot in here today. But the note Hargrave gas is also made about F1 hybrids. F1s are where they've taken 2 parent plants, say a mother and father, which have been bred to create this one particular variety of plants. So if you let's say if you mate a donkey and a horse together and you get an ass, I think that's how it was told to me. But the trouble with that is if you get 2 asses mate, you will not get a true representation. You might get something closer to a horse or closer to a donkey. And that's the same with the F1 varieties, being that you might have 2 different types of tomatoes come together to make that tomato, but what that then reproduces will not be true to that parent. It'll be closer to one of the grandparents. Does that make sense? It can still be done, and it can actually be interesting to see what you turn out with, but it's certainly it's not recommended because you're not going to guarantee you're going to get the same types. Also saving radish and onion seeds as I let them go over when I was struck with my leg in bed. Now, I've heard people do this actually, where they've just left onions or radish or carrots to go to flower and seed where they are already growing. That might be a way to really help things along. So you just leave a few onions, a few carrots, a few radishes in that pot, wherever they are growing, to flower, and then they'll spread their seed naturally. This year's broad bean crop was from saved seed last year. There you go, Turbo Strip. Did you do anything different to what I'm saying today? David Mosey, got some marrows ready now. Need recipes for cooking, and how easy are they for seed saving? Now, this is a very good one, actually, because it moves into squashes. Now, squashes are pretty easy for seed saving. I've never actually saved them for marrows, in all honesty, because I'm not a lover of marrow. I prefer courgettes. But certainly pumpkins and marrows are more of a summer squash. Pumpkins, butternut squashes, that sort of thing. You just scoop out the seeds from the inside, wash off all the pith that might be left behind, strain them and dry them on a Sunday windowsill, then store them for next year. And what I find, certainly with pumpkins and butternut squashes, the plumper seeds are the ones that will germinate. So if they're flat, which marrows might be, they won't germinate as well. But the plumper seeds, the fatter seeds, you've got more luck of being able to reproduce or grow on. As for recipes for marrows, we'll put that out there for anybody else to see. The only thing I can think of is stuffed marrow. So cut your marrow in half, scoop out the center, save your seeds, stuff it with minced beef and onion and something like that, maybe some oats, and then put the two halves back together, wrapping clean in tin foil, and place back in the oven and roast for about an hour. That's the only thing I can think of, but we'll add that out there and see if anybody else has some good marrow recipes. I said spring cabbage and cauliflower this week. Probably too late, but I was given a seed, so what? No, it's not too late. Not too late at all. If you're wanting for spring, it's probably the perfect time, I would say, to do that. I did exactly the same as you, Richard. Yeah, so the broad beans, you just save the seeds, let them go dry, like those peas, dry, take them out, and then pop them in. This seems like a good time, however, to get my first video out there to you guys, which is, if I remember correctly, it's the right one, from, oh, hang on, roasted marrow on a tray adds flavour to soup. There you go. Let's get my first video, which comes from Turbo Stream.
Seed saving. I thought I'd show you the ones I've saved this year. So in this envelope, you've got some parsnips. I don't know how well we're going to see this. If the camera will focus. But I've got an envelope full of parsnip seeds in there. These are some poppy seeds. Again, I've got a fairly full envelope in there. And then this is one of the methods I use to save seeds, is you take the seed head off and let them go dry. So these are some onions. I don't know if I can show you. These are the onions, red onions that I've let to go to seed. I'm just letting the head go dry. Just leave it in the envelope for a few weeks until all the seeds fall out. And these are some broad beans. These are 2 years old now, I think. Just give them a soak before you sow them if you want to. I've direct sown some of these just for some winter stir fries. And notice these poppy seed heads are ready. So all you do is you chop them off, tip them upside down and stick them in an envelope. Then you've got millions of poppies for next year. Poppies are easy to save from seed. You literally just turn the head upside down into the envelope. And you can see these millions come out of there. Let's try another one. And you just literally, like shaking salt. And one more for good luck. This is a big one. Very hard to film this actually. That's how you side seeds from Poppies.
There we go. That was the first video of the night that came in from Turbo Stream. We've got another one coming up a little bit later on. If you ever want to send a video in, it doesn't have to be with the subject of a week, can just be a tour of your allotment or something you want to ask, something you want to show off. Just film your video, send it to me by going to a website called wetransfer.com. My email address is richard@theveggrowerpodcast.co.uk. When I do that, I'll upload your video to their website. I will then get an email, and then I can then download it from the website, which means we're not overusing. Emails sometimes have limits on what they can send or the size of a file. That's the easiest way to send me videos. I'm getting a lot of heat just coming off this light I've got up here. You can probably see I'm starting to sweat. But that's a fantastic video, and absolutely goes to show what I was saying about letting the flower heads, letting the plants go really ripe before you take off those flowers. Unfortunately, it's always the thing sometimes when I think people are deadheading the plants, which they've got to do in order to get more flowers. But that stops it from making seeds. And if you are looking to save seeds, sometimes later on in the season, you have to let them go to seed in order to save seeds. Digwell Green Fingers is a marrow chutney, pickled marrow pickle, and most importantly, marrow rum. Oh, marrow rum. Is that just marrow soaked in rum until it imparts the flavour? That's an interesting one. Idaho Garden Girl is late. That's all right. We will let you off. We know it's... I can't remember what I was going to say there. Digwell, thanks for the reminder at Turbo Stream. I need to collect my poppy heads. Yeah, of course. Great video, Turbo Stream. Fantastic video, wasn't it? That's a fine collection of parsnip seeds. I planted 7 rows, 3 varieties, and nothing came up. New seeds. I must be doing something wrong. Yeah, see, parsnips, a lot of people do struggle with the germination of parsnip seeds. I find that I don't sow my seeds until May, maybe April, late April. I find before then they don't tend to germinate, but I also find that they do better by sowing in a well-tilled, a nice crumbly soil. So I find you have to work the beds first, really get that rate going through it, and then they seem to germinate. And what I've also found, because I'm on a heavy clay, parsnip seeds that are, if they're sown too far apart, they can't push through the clay. So I find that by sowing them a bit too close together, they work together at pushing through the clay soil, and then I have to thin them out in order to give them enough space. There's just a few ideas that I have, or what I found has worked for me. The light does give great colour to skin tones. Yeah, it does. It does. And there's lots of lights in this place. They're LED, so they're not meant to emit heat, but the big one really is emitting a lot of heat today. Andrew, all I can say is sow thickly and in a row and thin out afterwards. That's exactly what I found. What else? Those recipes sound great. Yeah, they do. What else? Going through these. I did turbo stream, but I think a crust formed on the soil and they could penetrate it through. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. I found happens with my clay soil in parsnips is that this crust forms and they can't penetrate through. A bit difficult to control because if it rains, it happens. But what I would also advise, if you have that trouble repeatedly, is to try and water it with a mister so it doesn't create, no, it doesn't flood and bring everything together. It just mists the soil enough to give it enough water, but gentle. I watered the drill first too. Yeah, that's another idea. So there's one particular type of seed out there when it comes to vegetable or edible gardening anyway, that involves something slightly different when it comes to seed saving. I'm just going to have a swig of this. And that is tomatoes. Now, I'm sure many of you have all cut open tomatoes and the seeds are in this gelatinous gel. Well, that gelatinous gel is actually a germination inhibitor. It's there to stop the seeds from germinating. So what you've got to do if you're looking to save tomato seeds is you've got to get rid of that gel. Now, last week on Gardener's World, I saw Monty basically using water, putting those seeds into a sieve and blasting it with water to get rid of the gel. I mean, you can't argue with Monty Don, can you? He knows what he's doing. But the way I save tomato seeds is that I basically pot all my tomato seeds into a jam jar like this, fill it up with water, and then pour a bit of cloth over the top so nothing gets in. And what will happen after a while, the water on the top will start to form a mold, and that's because that gel is fermenting off from those tomato seeds. At which point, all I've then got to do is drain off the water through a sieve, keep the seeds, which now have lost that gel, dry them on a bit of kitchen towel in the windowsill, and then store them. Slightly different tomatoes, a slightly different process in how to save seed from those, but it's worth hang on. It's an idea that might work for you. I was just about to put the link up and I've done it wrong. Where did I put the keyboard? Can I tell you what? Oh God, I'm throwing everything around now. There we go. That's got it. There we go. Sorted it. I'm going to have to bring that pen. So yeah, tomato seeds slightly different. Now, I asked Digwell earlier about marrow rum. More to it than that, but basically hollow out and hand a marrow in a mesh bag. Hollow out and hand a marrow. Was that blend or I'm not sure. Fill with sugar and yeast and it ferments a dripping rum into the container placed below. Oh, that's properly like making cider. It's a proper alcoholic way of making an alcoholic beverage. What have we got there? I was sent an email that used a plank on top of the row. I was sent an email that used a plank on top of the row. It helps the row stay moist. I did that and it worked this year. Okay, I've not heard of that. I've never heard of that. So you place a piece of wood on top of the row. That makes sense because that would keep it a bit drier, keep water in. Bit convoluted tonight, aren't I? My parsnips went to seed. A big windstorm came through. A couple of weeks later, parsnips coming up all over the place. Well, I think this is the thing that my current way of thinking at the moment, if I'm growing parsnips or carrots, I'm probably much better off, and I want to save the seeds, that is, better off leaving them go to seed, which will take 2 years because carrots and parsnips are biennials, and just letting those seeds drop into that bed where they were growing. That's probably the way. If you're going to go down the self-sufficient route and with carrots and parsnips, just leave them to grow where they are. I think that's what else have we got there? Wongman, hi, I am from Shenzhen. Do you know? I'm not familiar with it myself, but yeah. Hang. Oh, hang. Right. Yeah. So you place yeast, marrow, and sugar in a mesh bag and let it ferment, and the liquid that drops out is this type of what do you call it? Type of rum. So I've just seen some comments which I'm not going to share today. This fruit scone with jam and Cornish clotted cream is very, very nice. So is Cornwall jam then cream or cream then jam? Adrian is asking, aren't parsnips difficult getting clubfoot? I've never had a problem myself. I think canker is probably the most likely problem with parsnips. Not a problem I've suffered with myself. And to be honest, even when you do get canker, if it's not serious, it just very simply grates off or what do you call it? Slices off and they're gone. We have our first caller. Hello, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hello, Richard Stuart Jackson.
Hello, hello, mate.
From Wiltshire, or the Cotswolds, as they call it now.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine, mate. I'm just ringing in. I got a question for you. This might stir up a little bit. I was told if you save seeds, say from your runner beans, and you've got, say, 3 or 4 different varieties of runner beans in your garden, you wouldn't have a true seed. Is that true?
That is true because it's
right?
cross-pollination. Squashes are particularly bad for that because they can cross-pollinate all the time. But beans, they're a bit more reliable. But that's, if you heard at the beginning, why it was suggested that you grow all your beans that you're saving seeds from separately, which is not realistically possible. But yes, there could be like a 2 different varieties of runner beans that are pollinating by each other, and they could pick up traits from each other. But but the thing that shouldn't stop you from doing it, because what you could end up with is a seed that grows better in your garden than either of the other 2.
Yeah, well, what I've basically done, Rich, 3 years ago I lost my dad, and he had loads of seeds, and he always kept his runner bean seeds and his broad bean seeds, same as you. And I found them in his tin, and I thought, well, last year I sown them. This year I sown what I saved from last year, and they seem to be the same. So I rung up to make sure, because I had 3 different kinds of runner beans in my garden this year.
Yeah.
Like last year, all I only grow was 1, so I wasn't too bothered.
Right.
And I don't really want to lose what I've got. If I do, I do. You know, I know what variety it was supposed to be. So I can always, because I'd still got the envelope that he wrote on, so it's on the envelope what it should, and I've got about 6 left, I think.
Yeah.
From last year that I didn't sow, so I'm hoping they'll be right for next year anyway. But I have saved some from this year's crop because I pulled them up today to make room for all these seeds you keep sending out.
yeah, you do get quite a few each month, don't you?
No, I'm not. That is not a complaint. Please don't take that as a complaint. It is. I am really pleased because it keeps me going. It keeps me busy.
No, I feel happy sending that many seeds, so I'm happy with it. So you can complain all you like. I take that as a good thing.
It's a cracking thing. It's keeping me active. It's keeping me going. It's giving me ideas for school. I know I shouldn't steal them, but I photocopied the front of your newsletter this week and took it to my teacher and said, right, that's your selection of seeds for this month. What do you think the kids want to grow?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to grow more veggies at school, rather than, it's lovely to have flowers everywhere and it makes the school look pretty, but the kids don't learn where their food comes from that way. So
yeah. So I'm just seeing some comments going on. So I think the thing is with what you do at the school gardening club, teaching the kids how to garden and growing food, to me that is what they should be taught. Yeah,
totally agree. Especially this year, because we've invested in our good friend's success plan.
Yeah.
So come the end of September, when it gets delivered, everything will be organised for them. So if I'm not there for a couple of weeks, somebody can just pick up the lesson plan and go with the flow. And I just want it to rotate, like go all the time. I've got loads of space. I've probably got more space at school than I've got at home for veg growing.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of room to rotate.
Yeah.
You know, so there's no excuse. So I can't grow runner beans there this year because I grew them there last year. I would grow them somewhere else, you know.
Yeah.
And that's really the sweet question, because we have a really good crop of sweet corn this year, which I haven't harvested yet, but I did check it last week.
Yeah.
And it's probably a week or 10 days away from harvesting. But if I can save it, I will leave one plant because obviously that'll save me money on packets of seeds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, as well as show it's teaching another skill, how to save seeds, how to garden from nothing, really, isn't it?
Well, so, yeah. I mean, the thing is, throughout history, people have saved seeds. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to grow what we grow. And it is a forgotten skill. I do think it is a forgotten skill, but I think it's one that we can learn to adapt with. And
it's like storage of food as well. You know, people don't store their food like we used to, you know?
Yeah.
My dad didn't do it, but I can remember a neighbour salting their runner beans down.
Yeah.
It's not something that appeals to me, but if you didn't have a freezer, you can imagine that it would be an option.
Yeah.
You know, but that's something else I want to try to teach the kids as well, is like, just because we've got a glut of onions, and for instance, we can pickle, or shallots, we can pickle them and sell them in jars as pickled onions for Christmas.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All looking fun. All sounds fun. I think I've got to say, I think if I was a kid, I would love to be at your school.
We have great fun.
Yeah.
It is very child-led. It's led by a child, that's me, but it's, you know, I don't want it to be my garden. I want it to be their garden. So
yeah.
And then if it's their garden, they take ownership of it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot better to do it that way. People think, you know, you've got to teach the children. Yeah, you have got to teach the children, but they've got to teach themselves as well and teach each other. So if I can teach a year 6 for a 10, 11-year-old, if he can then teach a 5-year-old, then I've done my job properly.
Yeah.
That's what my aim is. And anything I learn is, well, I bring it home and learn from here. So if I make mistakes at school, I don't do them at home, hopefully.
Yeah.
So I'm going to save my pennies this month and go to the show at the end of the month at Malvern and spend a load of money on vegetable seeds and anything else I can find. Any decent tools I need. And
fantastic. Well, have a good time at the Malvern show. I hope to see photos.
Yeah.
I'm on call, so I can't go.
Oh,
yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Anyway, I will hang up and let somebody else call in and get this conversation moving.
Okie dokie. Thank you very much, Stuart, for your phone call.
That's okay.
Cheers. I've gone. Bye. I think it was just broken up at the end there. I couldn't quite hear what was going on. Let's have a quick look at the comments that are coming in, and then we'll oh, cool, don't worry, I'll deal with it in just a second. Rebecca, are you going to Chelsea, Richard? I screwed up slightly with the tickets for that, but I'm going to try and go. If you're going, what day are you going to Chelsea? It's a bit difficult because the RHS can be, especially for Chelsea, very difficult to get there. What else have we got? With sweet corn, I had it have to be very quick from the garden to saucepan as it loses its sugars. Yes, I had my first sweet corn cob last night, and I literally harvested it, ran straight home, and got it in a pan of water in order that I could. It basically what happens within an hour with sweet corn, the starch turns to sugars after harvesting, and then you have to. And if you don't get it into a pan of hot water, it loses its sweetness. So I found that just to rush home, get it in a pan of hot water, and it tastes just as good. I'm going to play quickly this next video from Digwell, if I remember correctly, while I deal with something going on. So watch this and we'll be back. No, not that one.
Yeah, guys, just finished filming 11 recipes to use up your glut of patty pans and summer squashes. And while I'm out here, I thought I'd show you some of my seed saving hints, tips, and what I've got going this year. No particular order, just here's what I've got. Short video on each one, really. Very, very short, very quick. All right, stop cheering. So what we got? We've got nasturtiums. These need to dry out a bit longer. These are good for going in amongst your broad beans and tomatoes, things like that. We got the marrow seeds in 2017. Elephant garlic pips. Is it pips? Yeah, bulbils, what you want to call them. Little tiny little things that grow on the side of elephant garlic. Loads of them. Bit of footage on them. Two types of pea. These are the peas that grow quite tall. Or lotto or veloci beans. And a first for me is TPS, true potato seeds. I'm pretty sure that's a potato. It looks like a tomato, but don't eat it. So what I'm doing with these, I'm going to let them dry out, soak the seeds to get all the mucus off them, sow them next year. You never know. We could have a winner. Scab resistant, blight resistant, drought resistant, good for mashing, baking, frying, and boiling. Yeah. Digwell's delicious diner spud. Very good. Okay, then we'll start off with the elephant garlic. These were lifted on the 24th of June, and you can see the bulbils there. They're normally under the outer layer of papery skin, but I always peel the skin off before I take them home. Can't see the point of transporting any disease around with you. So here's the little bulbils themselves. The only problem with them is they take 2 to 3 years to grow or to produce elephant garlic. So the first year you'll sow them, the second year they'll form big rounds, then you'll plant the round, and the round will become an elephant garlic. So 2 years. Oh, I need to get in there and pick these peas that I'm saving. Oh, yeah, they're dropping out, look. Oh, there we are. First green shaft. Nupla Ultra. And the reason there's more of these is because I ate more of these. Okay, nasturtiums. So easy to save the seed from these. Look, they're just lying there. They're about the size of peas. So I just picked them up. No idea what they are. The plants were a mix anyway, so the seeds can be a mix. I grow these everywhere. They're in amongst the tomatoes, the beans. They're on both allotments. They're at home. They're in pots, hanging baskets. Oh, there they are in with the cherry tomatoes. Tumbler tomatoes, lovely tomato. Picked a few off there. And there's a couple there as well. So I'll have those. Yeah, brilliant. I've even got them growing in the hydroponics for the tomatoes. A very versatile plant, actually, nasturtium. The leaves taste great. The flowers taste great. And they are a black fly and caterpillar magnet. Look at the size of that orange queen. Looking forward to that one. And here's one reason why I save my own seeds. That's to grow long runner beans. These are my own breed, my own stock. This one here in the tube, that's just over 17 inches long. There's one more here. This one stopped at 16. But, oh yeah, there's a few more. Daddies weren't here the other day. They've shot up or shot down, whichever you want to call it. That's no good because it's a curly one, so I won't be saving the seed from that one. Right, and the star of the show this year is this one. I haven't got a job to get it all in. That's 26 inches. That's stopped growing at 26. So that's my best ever. So I'll be saving that one. Previous best was 23, so that's done pretty well. And I grow and save the seeds from these every year. Veloci beans, or is it Bolotto beans? Can never work that out. There's a few in there. Doing all right. And this baby was grown from seed saved a few years back. There's my foot. His mum was 25 kilos. And this one's not getting any longer, but it's getting a lot wider, so fingers crossed. And I'll be saving the seeds from this one again. And the pumpkin, not the biggest in the world by any stretch of the imagination, but, you know, grown from saved seeds, so it makes it all worthwhile. That was just over 1 metre in circumference last time I measured it as my foot. Yeah, it's getting bigger.
Sorry, did I finish that a bit too soon? Sorry. I think there was a nice little ending to that. Right, great video, wasn't it? Absolutely great video. It came in the other day, and I really enjoyed that video. Well, wrong camera. Sorry. While that was playing, I dealt with the issue that we were having. I just want to say, if that happens again, just ignore them. That's all I do, and I'll deal with it. But I was also shelling all these peas out of the pods ready to save the seed from. But one of them, when I opened them up, I don't know if you can see this very well, it's got all weird. You got like this weird fluffy stuff with it. Hopefully the camera, you can see that quite well on the camera. So that one, I'm not going to save the seed from. That's going to the bin, which is probably another tip I should say. Always save seeds that are in good condition. Let's have a quick look at the comments, because there was quite a few coming in through that time. Rebecca is saying she's going to Chelsea on a Thursday if we can get tickets. I'm gonna try. It was my fault. I did apply for tickets, but I made a slight mistake, which was my own fault. Evening all from Julia. Hello to you. Richard Babes. Hello to you. Nice to see you again. Adrian, when I was at school, I was interested in gardening. Many were not. The teacher used to say, one day you will want to grow things. Unfortunately, some got the wrong idea and thought he meant human. Well, yeah, I do think it is a life skill, and it is part of nature. So growing things, you know, particularly growing food, I think should be taught in school. Interesting video from Idaho. What have we got here? Well, those beans are long. They look amazing. They were really good beans, weren't they? Nice and long. A very impressive allotment. Absolutely. Giant beans. Definitely. Great video. This has been a very interesting subject tonight. I will be saving lots more seeds this year, both at school and home. Do home saved seeds last as long as commercial seeds, I wonder? That's a very good question. That's a very good question. I suspect they'll probably last longer, but really my attitude is I really don't want to have seeds for more than a year, or maybe 2 years, thinking about it, just to make sure. I've never been to Chelsea. Did you say it's challenging to get to by car? I think it is challenging. I've never been myself. I've been to the grounds it's in, but I've never been to the Chelsea event because I think I'm a bit too common for the show, to be honest. I mean that nicely. Great vid, Digwell. They are long beans, Digwell. Always remember to label all the safe seeds. Absolutely. That pea pod you showed me, Richard, had pea moth damage. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Pea moth damage, which, bring it up. Yeah, as you can see, it's just created this sort of, it's better if I bring it on the other camera, isn't it? Created this layer of stuff that I don't know what, well, pea moth damage. So that's going to the side. We won't be using that, and that's fine. Yeah, Chelsea. I think there is car parking, but because it's not quite central London, I don't think it's within the congestion charge zone. You're probably better off catching a train for the last bit anyway. I know when I used to drive to Chelsea regularly, it was that last bit was just full of traffic. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Some commercial seeds are coated with green-blue powder to extend their life. Yeah, commercial seeds. I always worry what that green-blue powder is going to do further down the line, though. Chelsea is best to go by bus or train. It's the same weekend as RHS Malvern Autumn Show. Oh, then I can't go because I'm on call. So that's annoying. I asked about long-lived seeds because this year's broad beans I wanted to save, but some went mouldy. Well, if they've gone mouldy, it's probably more to do with the fact that they weren't quite ready, dry enough to be stored, or they were stored somewhere a bit damp. So you've got to think about that as well. You've got to keep them incredibly dry. And what I do for seed storage, actually, or used to do, I keep them indoors now, but when I kept my seeds in a shed, I had an old fridge, and I would just keep all my seeds inside that old fridge. That fridge was turned off, it wasn't working, but it meant that fridge was insulated, so it stayed a constant temperature and a constant humidity. You didn't get extremes of hot and cold or dry and damp. It maintained the similar or a constant temperature, a constant humidity, and it was recycling as well. It put an old fridge to use. Now that's fine if you've got the space. The worst thing you can do with any seeds, and we all do this, we're all guilty of this, is keep them in a shed. This shed here probably not so bad because it's insulated and it's fairly constant heat. But what you got to remember, if you keep them in a shed, you know, your shed could be hot, cold, damp, dry, and that can cause problems with things like mold occurring on your seeds or reduce the lifespan of your seeds. Like I said, I do keep my seeds indoors in my office these days in a big tub, which isn't ideal because they do take up a lot of space, but I know the seeds there are going to be safe. What was got? Richard, when you save seeds in jam jars, do you have to exclude all light? Yeah, excluding all the light does help, actually. Reason these are in jam jars is that it's all I had at the time, and they will sit inside my box, which does exclude light. Jam jars, to be honest, are probably not the best thing to use. Much better would be paper envelopes because that allows a bit of airflow or the air to circulate. This, especially with a lid on, if there is any moisture in this, it can come out and create a bit of a damp environment for these seeds, which could lead them to germinating as they are. These ones are sweet pea seeds, so they're going to be, I don't even know what variety they are, they're just saved. A bit like the nasturtiums in Digwell's video. I meant to say about those nasturtiums as well. Those nasturtium seeds, they are edible. You can use them as like poor man's capers. So put them into a tub with some vinegar and some seasoning, and when you need capers, they're ready to go. They're quite tasty, very tasty, in fact. Nasturtiums as a flower is incredibly edible anyway. I actually had them just pop up like weeds on my allotment, and I leave them. Nasturtiums are the wonder plant in any allotment, in my opinion. I will bring them home and store them in the kitchen cupboard as last year. Yeah, if they're in a kitchen cupboard, just make sure that there's not, if you're boiling a kettle below the cupboard or anywhere where moisture may be able to escape if you're cooking on the saucepans as well, moisture can get into that cupboard and cause problems. Just worth thinking about that. Like I say, you've got to maintain a good temperature and maintain a good humidity level. Would putting rice in with your seeds help with the damp? It would, yeah. It definitely would help. Excuse me. It definitely would help keeping rice in with them to absorb some of that moisture. But it's a bit of a waste of rice. But it would help. Nasturtiums, nice and peppery, absolutely. Now, talking of food, I haven't actually well, I shot the video, I just haven't edited it. But I have been cooking. And it's something that we spoke about. Oh, we'll come back to that because we have a caller. Hello, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hello, Richard. It's Nicola in Cornwall.
Hello, Nicola. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm not enjoying the weather though.
Well, it's very hot here, so I don't know what you've got down there.
Well, I can just about see to the boundary of the edge of my land, so very misty.
Wow. Wow. It's amazing how the weather just changes in a few miles.
Well, I'm a few more miles than that from, what's it, Bognor Regis your way.
Yeah.
About a 5-hour drive, I think.
Yeah. Good point. But it still amazes me just how changeable the weather is wherever you are in the country.
Oh, yes, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure you're not here to talk about the weather. I know that's a great British pastime, talking about the weather. What have you called in for?
well, I'm just really excited because I think you knew I was a bit sort of feeling about downtrodden with my veg garden being so overgrown, and it's just so nice to see the beds now cleared of weed, and I can get some more frames in around them, because some of them I didn't have enough wood last year for frames when I was putting it in between moving.
Yeah.
But I've also got a load more fruit trees and bushes on the way, so I've actually bought, I don't know if you've heard of them, you can get cherry bushes.
I have heard of them, yes.
So I thought it'd be easier to protect my cherries from the blackbirds.
Yeah. They sound like a great idea, so I'm going to be very interested to see how you get on with those.
Yeah, I've got 4 of those coming. I sort of, if I don't sleep very well, I tend to go on these gardening channels on internet, and I think, oh, I like the look of that, and I like the look. And before that, I've sort of spent a few pounds. So I've got some pomegranates coming. I've got some nectarines coming. I've got, I think it's about 18 blueberry bushes coming. So, hey, we're going to have a lot of fruit next year, if nothing else.
Oh, it's all good fun, though. All good fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I was really surprised because these broad beans I actually picked a few weeks ago, and I was going to eat them and forgot them, and they were sitting in a dish, and I looked at them and I thought, hang on a minute, you've got water on them and you've started rooting, so I'll have a go and shove them in some root trainers, and so far I think all of them are coming up.
Yeah.
So
do you know what
I think broad beans are a great use I actually prefer them to runner beans,
Yeah.
but I just think they're a great bean to have, because you can put them in stews as beans, or have them as a vegetable, or like a lot of people I've learned in the last sort of 12 months, they can eat the young shoots instead of as an alternative to spinach. If you grow them en masse, so in the sort of autumn winter months. So I'm going to have a go at doing that this year.
Yeah. See, I always grow my broad beans over winter anyway. I'll be sowing them later on this month to go in the ground down on the allotment, just to make it look like something's actually growing and doing something over the winter, and then you get a slightly earlier crop of broad beans. So,
yeah, well, I don't know if you follow him too on YouTube, Steve from Seaside Garden and Allotment.
oh,
He's
yes.
so organised, and he grows field beans, which I think are similar to broad beans, or they are, I'm just giving a different name. And he has beds of them, and he uses them, like I said, as an alternative to spinach in the winter.
Yeah.
So,
Yes,
what I'll do though, Richard, is I'm going to do a short video hopefully next week. It won't be anything wonderful because it'll be phoned on my iPhone, but I'll try and give you a bit of a walk around the farm, and you can chop it and snip it, the bits you like and the bits you don't.
No, that would be fantastic, because it's always good to see other people's gardens and allotments and farms and see what everyone's growing in.
Yeah, well, I've done a load of flower tubs this year, but in every one where I've taken blackberry currant cuttings, every one has got one of these in it, because I didn't know what to be doing with them. I brought them down from Brighton, and also in all of them I've put strawberry runners, so come the spring I'll be but it was a way of getting them in the ground and letting them romp away, because things like the dahlias and my cannas I'll be lifting anyway, which will just leave more room for the blackcurrant and the strawberries to grow on.
Fantastic, fantastic. Sounds like you're really getting yourself into it down there.
Yeah, well, I've got some help. I've got some people staying with me at the moment, so they're staying in my empty static caravan, and in return they're giving me a few hours helping in the garden. And I've also found out I've got a friend who's got a digger, and my slope that was going to be my big veg garden, they're actually going to help me terrace so that I can grow on the level, which can be fantastic. It's about a 2-day project as well, just to terrace it without putting retaining walls in and stuff, because it's a quarter of an acre.
Wow, fantastic.
But you're always welcome to come and visit.
I tell you what, we will come down and visit, and we definitely will, because it sounds like a lovely place anyway.
Yeah, you know, I couldn't be happier here. You know, I've got elbow room. You know, I can do what I like in my own space. I just got a bit fed up with Brighton. It was just getting so overgrown that I've lived there all my life, so 57 years. And I just thought it was time, if I didn't move and do the small holding bit, because even though I'm classed as a farm by name, a lot of the land was sold off, you know, over the last few years as the couple previous got older.
Yeah.
But 3.5 acres, nearly shorted myself of an acre, is big enough.
Yeah, I think that would do most people, I would say. I think everybody would love an area that size.
Yeah, well, I'm going to put a small campsite in, so that's going to take quite a chunk. And I've got old farm buildings that I'm hoping to develop into holiday lets in the future. So it's an old, was a dairy parlour. So I'm hoping to make that into a couple of sort of 1-bedroom cottages. Very rustic looking, but hopefully with COVID, it'll add to the people still staying in the UK, I think. I think there's going to be some people that, even when COVID is gone, and hopefully it won't be too long now, they'll still want to stay more in the UK than going abroad.
Which can only be a benefit to everyone else, and hopefully that means more people will start growing their own food as well.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping the surplus with the campsite will be used by campers, because I'm doing a greener campsite, so they'll have the ability to cook on open fires. I'm putting in fire pits on all of them.
Nice.
And hopefully composting toilets for each pitch. It's only going to be a small thing, like 10 tents. But it's a way of people having those veg, isn't it? Without, you know, sometimes we have so much, and even if we have all good intentions to store it all, we don't, and then it just goes to waste, or it goes to the compost or the chickens. Whereas if there's people staying on the land, then they can have some too.
Yeah, definitely. Got to reduce the waste where we can.
Yes, and the less food miles, the better.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, I love you and leave you, and let somebody else have a chit chat.
Yeah, no worries.
And as always, enjoying your Sunday show.
Lovely. Thank you for calling in. Lovely to hear from you.
Oh, and it's cream on the top and jam on the bottom.
Cream on the top, jam on the bottom. I just have it any way it comes.
All right then. Bye-bye, Richard. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. There we go. That was a lovely phone call from Cornish Heaven. A few comments came in during that. Let's have a quick look. Where are we? Where is it? Where was the last one? Great video. It's been very interesting. I think I said that one. I think we've gone through that one. Oh, what was the last one I said? Here we go. Oh no, done that one. I will done that one as well. We've done that one, and I think the wet may saw off my broad bean pods, to be honest. The cupboard is away from heat and moisture. Yeah. Sometimes if they're not completely dry, there's still moisture left in it. But I sowed broad beans for the young shoots too after I saw Steve's seaside allotment video. Yeah. I don't want to brag, but I know Steve Seaside Allotment was my first guest on the podcast, and he told me, hopefully he still says this, he only got an allotment because of listening to my podcast. So that's for me one of my big success stories, and I'm so pleased to see how far he's came with that. He does fantastic, doesn't he? Some of my leeks are going to seed. Is this usual? Should I lift them now? I was waiting for them to get bigger. It's very unusual for them to go to seed. Leeks are usually biannual, but they're obviously under stress for some reason for them to go to seed. It could be because of the weather this year, to be fair. But lift them now, chop them up and freeze them. I find that micro leeks, small leeks, are tastier anyway. You've just got to use a lot of them. But yeah, I would say they're under stress. And I would only really worry about the ones that have started to bolt. Get those out and get them chopped up in the freezer. But Turbo Stream is having the same problem. And Richard Foves is enjoying the show as I cook dinner. Now, I was about to say, I haven't made a video for this because, well, I shot the footage, was going to edit it today, but I struggled. I've been asleep most of the day, apart from out on the walk. So, what is this, I hear you ask? It is something that we spoke about last week that I cooked. It's the American baked beans. We had a huge conversation about this last week, and I went away, found a few recipes, and adapted it to my own. So what I did, I got half a pack of cooking bacon, which I chopped the bacon up into smaller pieces, fried that off, and then I took the bacon out and kept the bacon to one side. Into that pan with all the bacon grease, I added some chopped onions and a chopped garlic clove. Cooked that until all the onions had softened down. Added into it, back into the bacons. Then I added a drained tin of cannellini beans, haricot beans, kidney beans, and chickpeas. Drained them, washed them, added those. A tin of passata, which I then filled up with water and added the water, a good chunk of tomato ketchup, some mustard powder, some Worcestershire sauce. I think that's what's gone into these American baked beans, as they're called. Let's give them a try and see how it tastes. Sugar and black treacle also went into this as well. Forgot that. Sugar and black treacle. And I'll tell you what, it's sweet, but it's really nice. It needs to be nice because I've made a huge tub of it. Really, really nice. Really, really nice. Very, very sweet for baked beans, but never mind. I quite like that. I mean, I did fill a big Dutch oven up with the mixture of making that. So absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. Right, let's quickly see what we've got in here. Leave them in, Nigel, to save the seed. That's something we're talking about anyway. You could leave them in to save the seed. How long can I leave potatoes in the ground? Main crop, thanks. Right, this is a difficult one to answer. I've left my potatoes in the ground right up till January, but we don't get much damage in the way of slug. But if you've got a lot of slugs, then you're probably going to want to get them out sooner. Or if your ground freezes over regularly and you can't dig the potatoes out that late, there may also be problems. So if you can dig out the potatoes, dig them out now or dig them out once they're ready and then store them. But you can leave them in for longer. Latest, I would say, is probably October, November, depending where you are in the country. Like I say, I can get away with it here because my ground doesn't freeze. Or very, very, very rarely freezes. You're welcome, Nigel. Or shave the seeds off and let the leek grass grow. So I know. Are you close enough to the sea to get spray, etc.? I heard asparagus loves it. Now, I'm not close enough to get spray, and I grow asparagus on my allotment. I'm close enough that I can hear this sea at night sometimes, and only about a 10-minute walk away. But what I will do is go down there, collect some seaweed, throw in a bag, and then use that to mulch my asparagus, which tallies in with what we're talking about next week. Because the asparagus is a fern. Its family origins is a seaside plant, so it will tolerate the salt, and other weeds won't. And it loves seaweed as a mulch. Excuse me. I save a lot of flower seeds as well. Cornflowers, foxgloves, delphiniums. The garden is at bursting point. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a case for deadheading your plants when the flowers are done, but I also think there's a case for leaving a few to save some seeds. I very rarely do a huge amount of flowers, as you know. I do tend to do edibles, but I do like my edible flowers at the same time. Nasturtiums, cornflowers, all edibles. Great weather for gardening lately, and may it continue next week. Let's hope it stays nice, hot, and bright. Not heard about that, Digwell. Hi, Ernie. I've just planted my leek grass into modules. Don't blow the roof off, Richard. Hello, Al. I don't plan on blowing the roof off with these beans. I did actually see the video, the clip of the film everyone was talking. Was it Blazing Saddles, when I sat around eating the beans, and it's exactly what I thought it was. But I can see why they were popular. Very tasty, and I like the bacon in it as well. So I'm just going to have a swig of my drink quickly. So we got about 12 minutes to go till the end of the show. If you want to call in, the number is 07307 135 174. But if you want to zap yourself in as well, just to end the show off, I've added the link going up in the comments right now. You'll find it if you're watching on the YouTube channel or the Facebook group, hit the link, and it's like a webcam message straight into the studio. So we'll start. What have we got coming up this week on the podcast? Well, it's seeds and tasks that we can do throughout September in the allotment and the vegetable garden. I'm actually, if you listen to the podcast regularly, you'll know every month I do these seeds and tasks for the month. But I think I'm going to start going into 2022. I'm probably not going to do so much of those just because I feel they're a bit repetitive. I'm probably going to put that either on a blog post or as a newsletter for anybody that signs up for the newsletter. Just the way I'm thinking of it. I've done it for over a year now. I think it's going to just carry on doing the same thing. I've got a video coming out in which it's similar to the video I put out on Saturday, which is a bit late. I'm going to try and get them out on a Wednesday more. In this, you can see the mulch that I've used, this easy mulch, the grass clipping mulch, and I'm gonna what else I've been up to throughout the week. Like I say, they're like a daily excuse me, daily vlog style, edited together to make a big video. So it's stuck in my throat. That's better. Always happens right towards the end. So yeah, that's coming out on the podcast and video this week. Next Sunday, we're going to be talking about mulches, which kind of ties in with this week's video quite nicely. Can you tell us, this from Ballycillian, can you tell us if the seaweed needs prepared in any way to mulch asparagus? Well, as I understand it, you can just throw it on. But I will double check everything ready for next week so we can go and find out more. I will listen to the podcast en route to Pembrokeshire, as I often do. Fantastic. In 2022, I will be growing less sheep poo. Fantastic mulch sheep poo, fantastic manure. So it's got its merits. Right, so let's start recapping on this seed saving that we've been talking about tonight. I think peas and beans are probably the easiest ones that we can do or start to use and start to save our seeds from. Let them go dry, let them really go over, pick them and save them. Peas and beans are easy like that. Pumpkins or squash plants, skip the seeds out, clean them, dry them, and the plumpest ones are the best ones for being able to grow into pumpkin plants. Tomatoes, you need to get rid of the jelly. Carrots, parsnips, you can save the seeds, of course, let them flower and cut off the flower heads once they've gone dry, or you can leave them to spread the seeds where they are growing. And I think that's the same for many of the other plants. When it comes to seed storage, make sure that they are stored dry when they go into storage. Store them somewhere cool, dry, dark, but a constant temperature. An old fridge is fantastic and perfect for that if you can get your hands on one. Failing that, indoors it's better, but just out in a shed in its seed bag is not ideal. Only save the best seeds. We don't want, like I say, with that pea moth damage that we found on these ones. We don't want that. We don't want to save seeds from that. And most importantly, have fun. Try it. See what you get. See what results you get. F1 varieties may not come true to form. None of them may come true to what we had before, but it's worth a shot. One I forgot to mention, but I think Digwell mentioned it in his, is garlic. And garlic, I actually save the biggest bulb from each variety and then plant out that bulb, which is what I'll be doing in a few weeks' time. So practicing what I preach, saving the garlic bulbs, the biggest garlic bulb, and replanting that to keep us going. So that is seed saving in a nutshell. Anybody else got anything they want to add as we close off? Just have a quick look what's going on over here. Paul Jordan, I'm late to the party. Don't worry, you can always watch on the recatch. Adrian, and grow more veg. What was that? Oh, it grow less sheep poo and more veg. In 20, just to re-sum it up, they said it again. Stream, excellent advice as always. That's why I keep returning every Sunday. Well, the idea is to share everyone's advice and everyone's tips and how everyone does it. You know, I've got my own ways. I want to hear everybody else's, and that's the important thing. Like I say, next week, mulches. Probably the wrong time of year to start thinking about mulches, really, but it prepares us ready for next year. David, have grown strawberries from seed off market strawberries. Yeah, I've grown strawberry plants from seed, but these seeds that came in, brought in, they're very, very tiny seeds and very difficult to really germinate, but it can be done. Of course, everything can be done. It's the idea for me, picking strawberry seeds off a strawberry needs some tiny tweezers. I can see that taking a very long time to get all the seeds, but it has to be done. Looking forward to the mulching advice. Intend to mulch everything next year. Yeah, I big believer in mulches now. Learning something new every week. Excellent vlog. Yeah, this is the idea. I want to learn everything, but I want to learn everything from other people as well. And I want to share everyone's ideas and advice on this, which is the whole idea of this Sunday night podding shed chat. Chance for us all to sit around, have a chat and get going. I know there's some new gardeners out there who have really got into it and enjoyed it as well. So fantastic to see. Well, we've got 4 minutes to go till the end of the show. If you want to call in quickly, 07307 135 174. Or I'll quickly add the link. Zap in. If you want to zap in. Now, Rebecca is saying, be nice to see if everyone mulches dahlias or lift them. I'm a lifter. And that's a very good point. When I started thinking about mulches, I didn't actually think people would be mulching something like dahlias or overwintering stuff. But actually, you've reminded me of what another use for it and why it's going to be suitable to talk about at this time. Fantastic. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. Lots of great info this week. Thank you all. You're welcome. Now, I think the problems we were having with the two people earlier, I think they've gone now. Apologies to everyone for that. I really apologise for that. I don't have any moderators or anything because I've never had the need to. I can deal with it slightly, not quite the same way here, but I'm going to have a word with Amanda and see if she can moderate every Sunday to try and stop that from happening. Once again, apologies for that. Hope it wasn't anything too rude and I got there in time to try and stop it. It's a very, very, very rare we get those sort of problems. So I do apologise again. Every Sunday is a school day. Thanks for the great advice. You are welcome. Does anyone else have a problem with ragwort this year? Personally, no more than usual. But I don't mind ragwort. I think it's quite an attractive plant. Great show as always from Grow Veg UK. Always a pleasure. Please, lovely to see you as well. Thank you for the great stream. I only started saving seeds in earnest a few weeks ago, so this has been great encouragement. Exactly how it should be. David Mosley, lovely show. See you all next week. Yeah, we'll be back again next week. Rebecca says that those two people didn't ruin the show. We have a great little community. Yeah. I don't want anybody being offended by what they say, and especially as I'm responsible at the top. Yeah, exactly. That's what I did. I do try and just ignore when we get things like that. I try and ignore them and don't give them any airtime. But at the same time, I don't want anybody offended. Not your fault, just ignore them. Great show. Thank you. Thank you. I tried to take the P out of them. Good idea. Good idea. Would you like me to mod? Yeah, actually, you're always here. I've got to find out how we can add moderators. But also, email me, Adrian. If you're always here, email me and we'll sort something out because I don't really want moderators unless something like that happens. All right. Yeah, we're coming to the end. Adrian, my email is richard@thevegetable.podcast. Anybody wants to send any videos in for next week, like I say, go to wetransfer.com, upload your video to there. Then my email address is richard@thevegetable.podcast.co.uk. Great show. You did well not to let the idiot posters distract you. See you all next week. Well, yeah, we will be back again next week. And we will try again. Like I say, it's all on mulches. Until then, stay safe. We'll be back. Same veg time, same veg place. All the best and take care.